We all know the story. First Adam, Eve, the apple, and then things got complicated. But what if that whole story is just a sequel? What if, long before the first human got their latest iPhone, there was an entire civilization on Earth that looked at the Egyptian pyramids as, well, let's call it retrofuturism. Sounds crazy? Maybe. But artifacts are scattered all over the globe that make archaeologists cough awkwardly and change the subject. So who were they? These proto-humans or visitors from deep space, who built everything before us and then just vanished. Let's imagine the lead architect of this pre-Adamite civilization. We'll call him, say, Xar. He wasn't like us, probably taller, maybe glowed in the dark. They clearly had the premium design package. His environment was Earth, but a sterile, blank canvas Earth. His big idea was as simple as a tricycle. What if we launch life here, but not just the basic package? Let's give them the cheat codes immediately. Xar's goal wasn't just to plant a tree. He wanted to create a mind capable of appreciating the sheer genius of his design. He was, in essence, a game developer who decided to give the players, us, creative mode right from the start. He and his team, these celestial engineers, scattered what we now call out-of-place artifacts across the planet. Batteries thousands of years old, mechanisms that have no business being in that era. That was all them. But here's his tragic flaw. Xar had the same problem as modern software developers. He pushed the product to beta, then went on vacation, forgetting to set up a tech support hotline. He was positive that the users, us again, would read the manual. But we didn't. We started using microchips to hammer nails. The best scene to describe him? Probably him leaving a hyper-complex energy grid on the Giza Plateau, thinking to himself, "Hey, it's totally intuitive." The great idea itself was a pure Silicon Valley startup pitch. Call it Project Prometheus 2.0. The gist: don't wait millions of years for evolution. Just give the primitive species a jump start. How? Via resonance fields. They didn't just build structures. They were tuning the entire planet like a giant guitar. The pyramids and other megaliths were meant to be amplifiers for this field, broadcasting knowledge and accelerating brain development. Why did they think this would work? Well, back on their motherboard, their home planet, it worked perfectly. They believed in the universal laws of physics and psychology. They thought if you give a creature a tool, it'll figure out how to use it. They missed one thing. If you give a monkey a calculator, it's more likely to crack a nut with it. They bet on reason and ran headfirst into instinct. Unexpected consequences? Oh yeah. Instead of using the pyramids as power sources or libraries of knowledge, humans turned them into tombs. It's like giving someone a supercomputer and they use it as a very, very expensive coffee coaster. The most ironic result? We are still arguing about how they moved the stones instead of asking why. We're debating logistics instead of high-energy physics. Let's take that one tiny detail that changed everything, the Great Pyramid of Giza. To us, it's a mountain of rocks. To them, it was a key piece of infrastructure. It's not a tomb. It is, if you will, a mix of a power plant, a transmitter, and a hard drive. Before it became important to us, i.e., when the Egyptians found it, it was just part of a global network. It was humming. Not metaphorically, but literally. This thing was built with tolerances that our own engineers would call excessive. The internal shafts aren't ventilation, they're waveguides. The sarcophagus in the king's chamber isn't a coffin, it's a resonator, tuned to a specific frequency. The process it triggered was invisible. It gathered the Earth's telluric currents and converted them into microwave radiation, which in turn powered their ships or other devices in orbit. And how did this affect the average Joe? Imagine an Egyptian priest who accidentally wandered inside a working pyramid. He didn't understand what it was, but he felt it. The vibrations, the strange hum, maybe hallucinations from the infrasound. He walked out of there and declared himself initiated. Thus a priestly caste was born, one that zealously guarded a secret they had zero understanding of. They just copied the design on smaller scales, creating a cargo cult. Okay, so how was this alien Wikipedia supposed to work? I'll explain it like we're at a bar. Imagine you want to teach a dog to use the internet. Giving it a laptop is useless, but what if you could just broadcast basic concepts directly into its brain? That's what these architects were doing. The problem they were solving was the cold start of civilization, how to jump from a digging stick straight to differential equations. The main stages were these. Stage 1, the hardware. Build a network of resonators, pyramids, Stonehenge, all over the planet at key energy points. Stage 2, the software. Upload a basic knowledge package into this network math, astronomy, physics. Stage 3, broadcast. Turn the network on. It starts vibrating at a frequency that gently stimulates specific parts of the brain in developing species, us, nudging us toward discovery. The most brilliant part was the passive learning. You didn't need to sit at a desk. You just lived near a transmitter and you got smarter. And the dumbest part, they didn't install a content filter. They broadcasted everything. And when a primitive mind received data on nuclear physics, it didn't build a reactor. It invented a thunder god who hurls lightning. The modern analogy? It's like leaving your phone unlocked in a kindergarten. The result is unpredictable. Now let's fast forward thousands of years. The architects are gone. Their Wi-Fi is off. Enter the average Egyptian. Let's call him Mary. Before his ancestors stumbled on these megaliths, his life was simple. The Nile floods good. The Nile doesn't flood very bad. His gods were crocodiles, cats, and the sun. Everything made sense. And then his pharaoh finds these gigantic things. The dilemma Mary faced wasn't, how was this built? But what do we do with it? Imagine finding an aircraft carrier in your backyard. You don't know how it floats. But man, is it impressive. How do you adapt? That's right, you start worshipping it. Even better, you build a smaller one next to it out of mud and sticks. The Egyptians became the world's first IT support team, trying to maintain tech without a manual. They meticulously copied hieroglyphs that were, essentially, engineering schematics, turning them into sacred texts. They tried to turn on the pyramids by performing rituals. Their life after became a massive cargo cult. They built their entire civilization around artifacts that were as much a mystery to them as a black hole is to us. So who was the main victim of this gift? Ironically, us, humanity. We received technology that we weren't mentally ready for. The dark side of this progress is that we skipped several crucial stages of social development. We were essentially fast-tracked through high school, but we never learned how to make friends during recess. What resource was wasted? Millennia. Entire civilizations like the Egyptians or the Maya spent their best minds not on understanding the architect's legacy, but on copying it. They built their pyramids not as machines, but as symbols. It's as if we found a Ferrari, but instead of studying the engine, we started building wooden replicas of it to pray to. A colossal amount of engineering and human resources, all spent on imitation. The funniest or saddest side effect of this, all of our archaeology, we look at a complex plasma cutter in a museum and write on the plaque, ritual object, purpose unknown. We find the schematics for a hyperdrive and call it a calendar. This is the ultimate irony. We are standing on the shoulders of giants, but we just think they're weird hills and are trying to set up a campsite. So who was here before Adam? By all accounts, a civilization of arrogant but brilliant engineers who saw us as their senior thesis project. They left us the source code of the universe, embedded in stone, and we used those servers as tombs for cats and pharaohs. They didn't just disappear, they simply failed the mission and left, disappointed in their students. But what do you think? Did we really blow our chance and go down the path of a cargo cult, worshipping tech we don't understand? Or is this all just a cool story, and the pyramids were built by thousands of people with ropes and sheer grit? Let me know in the comments which version you're on board with, and don't forget to check if you're subscribed, or you'll miss all the fun. And next time, we'll talk about how a single calculation error, made by a drunk monk in the Middle Ages, might have completely changed the map of the modern world, and why we might be living in the wrong timeline right now.